Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on optimizing site visits and compliance, how Cloudbyz CTMS enhances oversight. My name is Pooja Sood, and I'm delighted to be your host and facilitator for this session. On behalf of the entire Cloudbyz team, I'd like to thank you for joining us today to explore a critical topic in clinical trial management. Today, we'll share insights and strategies to help you optimize site visits and ensure compliance, drawing from our experience supporting organizations globally. Here's what we've planned for today. We'll begin by discussing the challenges in site monitoring and compliance, a topic that impacts trial efficiency and success. Then, we'll explore how Cloudbyz CTMS addresses these challenges with practical solutions like real-time tracking and automation. You'll see how these solutions optimize site visits and compliance through features like centralized scheduling and mobile-friendly access. We'll also include a live demo to show these concepts in action. Following that, we'll share a real-world case customer success story to highlight the impact of these strategies. And finally, we'll wrap up with key takeaways and a Q&A session to dive deeper into your questions. Before we proceed, let's go over a few housekeeping items to ensure a smooth experience. This session is being recorded and will be available on our website at www.cloudbyz.com with a follow-up email sent to all the registrants. Your microphones are muted to minimize distractions, but we encourage you to engage through the Q&A section throughout the session. If you encounter any technical issues, please feel free to let us know in the chat and our team will assist you promptly. And as a special thank you, if you stay until the Q&A round, we have an exclusive guide for you on optimizing clinical trial oversight. We want this to be an interactive experience, so please feel free to submit your questions at any time, and we'll address them during the Q&A segment at the end. Now, before we dive into the main discussion, let me introduce to Cloudbyz, a leading e-clinical solutions provider. Our platform is one of the fastest growing unified clinical trial management solutions in the market, designed 100% on the Salesforce platform, offering a unique blend of scalability, modularity, and configurability to suit your specific business needs and processes. At Cloudbyz, we believe in empowering organizations of all sizes, from Fortune 500 companies to agile startups, to streamline their clinical trials, optimize operations, and accelerate the delivery of life-saving therapies faster to market. Our comprehensive suite of products covers the entire spectrum of clinical trial management, including the CTMS, a flagship product that facilitates seamless end-to-end project management for clinical trials, the CTBM, an essential tool for managing the financial aspects of clinical research, the ETMF, our robust document management solution ensuring compliance and efficient data handling, the EDC, a powerful data management platform, the safety and pharmacovigilance that streamlines safety monitoring during and after clinical trials. We are also exploring the future of clinical trials with a recently launched AI-powered platform, the clinicalwave.ai, featuring tools like ClinRedact, ClinExtract, and ClinDICOM, which help clinical trial users efficiently handle PHI and PII across trial documents and DICOM images. Beyond our solutions, Cloudbyz has been recognized in the Everest Group's matrix as the leading provider of e-clinical solutions, highlighting our commitment to excellence and innovation. Our products seamlessly integrate with existing systems, offering a unified workflow to ensure your clinical trial processes run smoothly and efficiently. Globally, we are present in 3 countries with our headquarters in Chicago, USA, regional offices in Toronto, Canada, and an offshore delivery center in Bengaluru, India, allowing us to support clients across different time zones. Our solutions are fully compliant with global safety regulations, including FDA 21 CFR Part 11, GCP, HIPAA, and more, ensuring quality and security in every aspect of clinical trial management. Proudly, we are ISO 9001 and 27001 certified, and we continue to be recognized for our commitment to quality and security. We are also honored to have been featured among the top 5 emerging pharmacovigilance startups by Startup US and to be recognized by the Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing companies in America. For more information, you could visit our website at cloudbyz.com or reach out to us at info@cloudbyz.com to book a personalized demo. We look forward to helping you bring life-saving therapies to market faster and improve patient lives worldwide. Now, let me introduce you to our speakers today. First, we have Dinesh Kashyap. He's the CEO of Cloudbyz with over 25 years of experience in digital transformation, CRM strategy, and life sciences commercial and clinical research. Dinesh is a digital strategy advisor who specializes in helping life sciences organizations adopt the latest advances in business and technology. He holds certifications from MIT, Johns Hopkins, and UC San Diego, and is a Salesforce certified administrator. Dinesh's passion lies in improving patient outcomes, enhancing clinical operations, and driving digital transformations in the healthcare and life sciences industry. To connect with Dinesh, you can email him at dinesh@cloudbyz.com. Joining Dinesh is Corinne Cato, our account executive. Corinne brings hands-on experience in clinical trial operations and a deep understanding of e-clinical technologies. She has worked very closely with global trial sponsors and CROs, helping them leverage modern solutions to enhance trial efficiency and compliance. Together, they'll provide valuable insights into optimizing site visits and compliance, grounded in real-world experience. Now let's get started and now hand it over to Dinesh to discuss the challenges of site monitoring and compliance and how they impact clinical trial efficiency. Over to you, Dinesh.
Thank you, Pooja. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Today, we would like to share our point of view and our learnings and our, point of view in terms of the clinical site oversight, as well as the monitoring and how our solutions can help and has been helping our customers bring in the efficiency and solve these challenges as well. So, as you know that, from the challenges standpoint, in the site monitoring and compliance standpoint, right? So we come across, oftentimes these 5 types of challenges in the clinical site, oversight and monitoring and operations. So the first one is, we can go through step by step. The first one is the lack of real-time oversight. So oftentimes, as we know that, the monitoring team, especially the CRA team and monitoring team, struggle with the real-time oversight and the lack of visibility of the various aspects of the data points, whether it is a protocol adherence, whether it is protocol deviations, or the patient enrollment metrics, for example, or it could be an adverse event in some cases, for example, right? So oftentimes, team always struggle to get real-time visibility and oversight of those data points to make sure that they're well prepared and what kind of data they need to monitor as well. Right. So moving on to the next one, oftentimes the managing these entire oversight as well as the the process is very manual, right? Oftentimes tracking the spreadsheets in some data, in some data in other system, for example. Collecting all of these different data points into one single place and preparing for the monitoring is always challenging, right? So, and this also not only creates issue with compliance risk, but it is also very inefficient to prepare and make sure that all of these processes and data points are collected in place and make it available for monitoring standpoint as well. Right, so that's a huge challenge we have seen, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well. And the third challenge what we have seen is that the compliance risks, because of the data points are not necessarily readily available, or oftentimes are broken into different places, whether it's a spreadsheets or a notebooks or a paper-based, or sometimes it could be stored in a different systems. So because of these disconnected data points always bring in huge compliance risk, especially when it comes to getting ready for the regulatory audits and making sure that all the documentation which is needed from the regulatory standpoint are prepared and readily available, just in case if there is any inspection, so on and so forth. So it's again, it's a huge compliance risk not having the real-time visibility of these very important data points across clinical trials, whether it is again, as we discussed earlier, It could be a patient information, enrollment metrics, or it could be a protocol deviations, or adverse events, so on and so forth. Right, and especially this is gets even more complicated. Is mainly when multiple sites are involved and the CRA is managing multiple sites, and becomes very complex coordination across these multiple sites, because again, if the data is distributed, data is disconnected, and oftentimes it's tracked through manual process and from various sites coming in, consolidating all of these data points by site, by a protocol, and again, by each of these aspects, of the monitoring, for example, becomes extremely daunting task for the CRAs and clinical trial managers to make sure that they have a smooth operations and oversight of the clinical trial, and monitoring as well. And of course, the data silos and disconnected systems is a huge, huge challenge. Even though many, companies use some sort of a systems, but oftentimes these systems are so disconnected. There may be multiple systems which may be used. On top of could be a disconnected spreadsheet might be used in many cases. Oftentimes, collecting this data in one single place is extremely critical. Right. So, we have seen that, many customers struggle with that. Some protocol deviations happen in some systems, some ECRF completion happens in some other EDC, and, some documentation lies in some other ETMF, for example, right? So having the visibility of all of this data at one place is extremely critical to make sure that, the compliance can be met and also the efficiency can be met also. So these are the, different challenges where we have seen, and, looking at, where the industry is, and also looking at learning from the industry standpoint. And this is where I think, as a Cloudbyz, as a team, we really would like to discuss in more detail and see how our solution can help. And it has been helping our customers to address all of these challenges. And today's demo, you will be able to see, hands-on experience in terms of, how our solution can solve these challenges as well. And again, if you and if many of you have any facing any other challenges, we would love to hear about what kind of additional challenges you're facing, and definitely would love to discuss in terms of how we can solve those challenges as well. Next slide, Pooja. Now, in terms of the cost of inefficiency in site visits because of those challenges, right? And especially when it comes to, site visit, efficiency standpoint, as well as the compliance standpoint, right? The number one is most important one is the cost, is the compliance risk, right? So when it comes to compliance, if there is any gaps with respect to FDA or EMA or any other regulatory agencies, and not having the right data and well-documented data as per the compliance requirements is always the biggest risk, because there could be warning letters and there could be termination of trials in extreme cases. Right, there could be some gap which might impact the overall success of the trial itself. Right, so that's a huge risk, and having making sure that these challenges don't get into impact those compliance risks. It's extremely critical to make sure that all of these data points are available in a format which regulatory agencies are looking for, and this is extremely critical. And not having that is a huge impact for the overall clinical trial. And the next, the cost of inefficiency is that the poor data quality, right? As we discussed earlier, having data which is outdated is or incomplete, for example, right? It brings in a huge challenges when it comes to monitoring and oversight standpoint, because the whole idea is that team would like to know what is the latest and greatest update they have, and whether that data available is complete and it can be trusted, right? It's extremely important. And also, kind of any kind of missed deviations, right? If, as we discussed earlier, if the data is, residing in many places, in many formats, and getting to know that data is very extremely critical. all right? And also, if there are any data points which are missed, in whether it's protocol deviations or whether it is adverse events or some kind of a patient data or some kind of a documentation, if this is missing, and brings in the question mark in terms of the quality of the data. And again, that also, if there is a discrepancy in the quality data for a standpoint, right, again, you will have to go through the CAPA, and working through the CAPA, this is again the additional inefficiency. It costs more in terms of to make sure that that particular issues are being addressed properly, and that's an unnecessary reactive work team has to do. So in order to make sure that they are compliant. So if you have this data available in one single place and that data is up to date and up to the quality and up to the requirements, then you can completely avoid such scenarios and make sure that you're very efficient and also compliant as well. So moving on to the next one is the delays, right? This is the most impactful because there is a huge financial and compliance risk involved, right? So if there is any delay happens, whether it is a delay at the site initiation stage or it's a delay at the patient recruitment standpoint because some data are points are missing, or it could be a monitoring standpoint. For example, if the right protocol deviations are not tracked in right time, or the quality of the data is not right, or it requires huge amount of effort to resolve such any kind of discrepancies. Right, creates a huge delay, and it might impact the overall the completion timelines, which has been a common scenario, common case as well. So you can totally avoid these kind of delays if you can prepare really well and make sure that you're using the system which helps and enables you to centrally manage, and so that you can address this cost of inefficiency as well, and make sure that your study tracks on time and being very efficient as well. The last one is, obviously, it has a huge cost, whether it is a compliance, a cost, or is it a poor data quality standpoint, which creates an additional manual effort, or it ultimately impacting the, delay of the study itself. All of these, huge, cost overrun, impact, right? So sometimes, many of these may require repeat visits, right? Sometimes it requires a huge manual effort and redoing the entire reports as well, and making sure that all the data points are collected and documented, and if there is any deviation from the protocol standpoint, proper CAPA is maintained and everything is documented, and that kind of adds huge cost to the trial, and which sometimes could be a surprise and unexpected. It can jeopardize the entire overall financials of that particular study also. So it's extremely critical, and this is a huge cost if you don't pay attention to these, addressing these challenges which we discussed earlier. And this is a cost, overall impact of inefficiency when it comes to site visits and oversight and compliance. Next slide, Pooja. Now, how does our Cloudbyz CTMS solution solves these challenges, right? So when you talk about, fragmented and siloed systems where, you might be tracking different information in different systems, maybe a protocol deviation in place, or any study startup, documentation in another place, or patient recruitment metrics in another area. So what happens is that the data, disconnected data points, right? It can be easily solved through systems like Cloudbyz, right? So where we basically bring in all aspects of clinical trial process, right? From planning, startup, conduct, and closeout, connecting all the data points in one centralized place, and also enabling a lot of automation and notification based on the workflow driven. Based on that particular study, you can actually set up a workflow or a notification as and when those data points occur. You will be notified to see that particular item. It could be a protocol deviation or adverse event or a patient recruitment or engagement related items, or it could be simple documentation tracking as well, right? So all of that data is available in the centralized location. so that, it not only it helps you to proactively plan your site visits, looking at all of the data points, and also it solves the, problem of, not necessarily tracking in a manual process. We can actually, system can automatically alert you saying whenever those incidents happen. And more importantly, through a site portal feature, which is available with Cloudbyz CTMS, you can always collaborate in real time with the site, staff, so that whenever those incidents happen, you will be able to, they will be able to get a real time viewpoint as well. And what you're looking at the data point, they will also look at the same data point. So that way it makes it easier for you to collaborate with the site in a team, so that what are the issues which are happening, whether they're up to date with respect to the timelines, whether they're up to date with the protocol adherence, for example. You'll be able to track those, in one place, and we will be able to gain oversight in real-time basis as well. Now, coming to the next, point is that, the manual inefficient tracking, as we discussed earlier, that's a huge, inefficiency when you do manual tracking of this particular key data, right? And we understand that how important that is to make sure that, there are no compliance gaps and risks. So with our solution, right, our solution provides a real-time tracking and automation of and compliance support for the entire oversight and monitoring of the clinical trials. So which basically means that you can actually set up a workflow, and for all the items in the seat, in the clinical trial process, and system can automatically trigger whenever that such conditions are met, right? And for example, when the protocol deviation is created, or there is an adverse event which is being created, or an issue, or a issue, or a task which is being created, so system can automatically notify all the stakeholders and about that particular data point, and they can alert, and it can also monitor the time which is being open as well, especially in the case of adverse event, where, as you know that, based on the type of the adverse event, it could be a time sensitive response needed, for example, and system can monitor, right? Since when the adverse event is started, right, and it can keep a clock on, right, how long that particular event is open, or what activity is being done. If there is any pending activity needs to be done, system can also automatically proactively alert the team as well. And the same automation capabilities can be set up for an entire end-to-end process. It could be at the time of all the way from starting from feasibility, site qualification, site initiation, as well as the monitoring and closeout as well. So throughout the process, you'll be able to track each step of the way. You can track very key data points and key metrics, and in a very proactive way. And that too in a real time, using the site portal, you'll be able to, showcase the data point in real time to the site, so that they will also be able to see the same data points what you're looking at, so that they can take action right away. Especially, for example, when you do a monitoring and you find that there is a gap, you come up with a list of issues and that needs to be addressed, and so those issues can be automatically created and assigned to the site staff. So while you're working, you can actually in real time you can work with them to make sure that you close those at the at the earliest as well. The last one is, a disjointed system and, inefficient data exchange. So this is a very common thing because, many of our, clinical team are used to using different systems for different purpose and etc. With Cloudbyz CTMS, we do provide unified, capabilities, which include CTMS, study startup capabilities. It also comes with the integrated eTMF and integrated EDC, and also integrated safety and randomization and trial supply management as well. I know sometimes this is too much for kind of from the system standpoint for our monitoring community or oversight community to tackle. If there are any other systems which are being used in this case, for example, eTMF, EDC, or safety, or any other system, our CTMS also comes with open APIs, which means that you can easily integrate with your existing EDC or existing eTMF or existing RTSM systems to make sure that those critical data points flow into your CTMS to provide you a real-time visibility of such items. For example, it could be a product, adverse event originated from EDC that can come into the CTMS system readily available for you to take action on. And same thing goes to a protocol deviation, or it could be, a ECR of completion, for example. It could be ECR of completion, or even the patients which are required to be monitored, or subjects which are required to be monitored. Those data points can also come in from those systems into the CTMS and make that data available for you. Even going further, right, whenever those data points come in from those systems like an EDC or eTMF, and Cloudbyz CTMS can trigger automated notification. It can also trigger list of tasks that needs to be done for that particular item, and it can notify all the related stakeholders as well. It could be monitors or CRAs, it could be site staff, right? As and when an adverse event is created in EDC, it comes over into through the integration, comes over into CTMS, and CTMS can trigger series of actions, including notification, assigning a task, and making sure and assigning a task and the deadline for that particular action item, and make sure that if that particular task is not completed by certain time, system can also generate follow-up notification, and so on and so forth as well. And also support in terms of all the entire the monitoring visits automation based on the templates which Corinne is going to walk you through and show you as well, like SQV, SIV, IMV, and as well as the COV standpoint. And also, works on a template based and also a complete life cycle of these visits, all the way from invitation letters, and confirmation letters and follow-up letters, and also making sure that, all those communications are recorded really well with audit trail, and those communications are also filed into appropriate documentation, repositories such as the eTMF as well. So all of these kind of streamlined and centralized for monitors so that they can be much more efficient, and also they can be fully compliant with the regulatory requirements, making sure that there's a proper documentation and is taken care of in the covering the entire oversight and the monitoring. So in terms of what capabilities we are going to showcase today, and also what capabilities we are going to discuss in terms of optimizing site visits and compliance with our CTMS. So site visit management. So we will be able to see the complete end-to-end site visit management, all the way from planning your visits and also making sure that you can plan those visits ahead of time, or you can schedule those based on certain data points you are seeing in the system. As and when you see those system, you can also do the remote monitoring activities as well, right? One of kind of a monitoring you can also do. And you can also do the follow-up monitoring based on certain criteria. For example, if you see that some sites, you'll see that there is a lot more deviation is happening compared to planned. You can actually see those data points in the system, and you should be able to take next action or visit planning as well. So you'll be able to see how site visit management is being done in our Cloudbyz CTMS. And also, right, you will also be able to see the real-time deviation alerts and audit trials as well, and how our solution supports this automated compliance tracking as well. And also, in addition to that, so you'll be able to see the monitoring reports and metrics, instant access to site monitoring. So all the data points which you see in the system can also be aligned with the site performance metrics as well. So it will keep on updating site performance metrics as and when you get a real-time data from the sites, while throughout the the study. When you're working with that particular site, any kind of a protocol deviations or the frequency of it, or all of the site performance metrics data, as and when you collect, same data is also automatically appended and updated at the site performance level as well. And you'll be able to see that particular feature in the demo. And also, right, so we are focused on, as I mentioned earlier, so we're focused on a unified trial operations platform system. And you will also be able to see how, if you do integrate eTMF or EDC, right, you will be able to see how these different data points from these systems will show, in the system, in the Cloudbyz CTMS for the monitoring purposes as well, right? So you'll be able to see, for example, you created a monitoring report and you want to file that monitoring report upon approval into a ETMF. We have one-click button option to do that. In that case, what happens, that particular report is filed into a ETMF in a exactly location where that should go into under, DIA folder structure if you want to. And similarly, for example, if you integrate with EDC, and you'll be able to see all of those adverse events and protocol deviations or any kind of such data coming in, and that data you'll be able to see, and as well we'll be able to showcase some of those use cases in our demo. And our solution is also mobile friendly and as well. So that means you can pretty much use your iPad or as well if you want to track these while you're traveling on a site visit, for example, and you want to be able to readily track these in a mobile friendly system, whether it's iPad or iPhone or any kind of a device, and you'll be able to do that too. So our solution is complete 100% cloud-based, and it's also mobile friendly, and you can also get all of this access to the system through a mobile friendly devices. And most importantly, whenever you set up these workflow alerts and notifications, those notifications also can come to your mobile devices proactively as well. And you can just click on that mobile notification and right back into the system to take a look at that as well. So it's a very real time, and you'll be able to leverage those kind of features to stay ahead and stay proactive with respect to site operations and compliance standpoint. So with that, I would like to hand over this to Corinne to walk us through some of these capabilities and features, what we have enabled in our solution. Corinne, take it away.
Thanks, Dinesh. Thanks, Pooja, for the introduction. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone's able to hear me. I hope that is coming up on screen. Dinesh, let me know if you're able to see that.
Yes, Corinne.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Yeah, so these are definitely challenges that I hear when prospects come to us and they're looking for a system to either, they don't have one in the first place, or they're looking to replace their system. So these are definitely challenges that I've heard time and time again over the years. So we'll go over just some of the features that were highlighted today. From my homepage, we'll navigate to our studies tab. We're looking at our ivacaftor study today, so we'll go into that. So I've already identified my sites based on those performance metrics Dinesh mentioned. Those can be tracked in the system. I've already sent out my feasibility survey responses. So my sites have been selected, but just to showcase that, we have some sites there that we'll be going into to look at the monitoring. But at the study level, our monitoring subtab gives us a nice graphical representation of all of those monitoring visits across all of my sites. So this is a roll-up view here of all of the monitoring. But if we go into a particular site, we're going to be looking at Site 101 Day. So this is Site 101 Day, conducting our ivacaftor study. Within that monitoring subtab for the particular site, we have an interactive monitoring visit calendar, which is great. So I can see what's upcoming. We have an SQV plan today, maybe next month. Yeah, there's an SIV there. So those visits, they can be generated at the click of a button here. So I can generate all of those planned monitoring visits based upon my monitoring plan. So that would be a template there to generate those accordingly. And so we'll take a look at our SQV. So from within that SQV record, or that PSV, just depending on what your preference is and what you guys are used to calling it, I can send out a confirmation letter directly from here. So I can, from within the system, very templated, save a bit of time there and even writing out that confirmation letter and the email. So that has spit out all of that based on my template, which is great. And I can send that off. And it can even include as well a compliant e-signature on that letter, on the follow-up letter, on the confirmation letter. So that can all be documented appropriately. I've already sent one out here. So once I've sent out that email, I can also generate a PDF of it. And like Dinesh mentioned, that integrated functionality between all of the modules in our unified platform, I can generate a PDF. I can upload it directly to my ETMF, go into the appropriate ETMF folder for that study and for that site. So there is that great integration. It's already in place between the CTMS and the ETMF, as well as the EDC when you choose to leverage all of those solutions. So once it's time to actually start monitoring, it's time for the visit, start to, time for me to begin drafting my report itself. I'll click that launch monitoring report, and the system will know which template to pull just based on the type of visit. That'll render the appropriate report and all of its contents and questions and feedback that I need to input. So starting off in draft phase, it can go through various stages of review and rejection, and then finally once it's signed and completed. So I'll just showcase some of that. Enter in responses, so those are saving. I can add in additional details at any point as well. Action items, so those can be added, those can be, can add in an action item or a follow-up item at any point, and that can be pulled into the report, as well as the next report. If those action items are still open, we'll automatically pull into the next report as follow-up items and things that need to be kind of followed up on because they're not closed out. So there is that functionality. Different types of responses, yes, no, NA, pick list, radio buttons. So that is, again, we would work with you to implement your appropriate templates in the system. And then once it has been completed, you can submit for approval. Please review. I'll choose myself as the next reviewer just so you guys can see the notification, but this could be, if it's going to be the same person over and over again, we can omit this step. So you can get a system generated notification as well as an email notification triggered based off of the fact that there's something pending that particular person's review. So that's that real-time updates, which are great. They have the ability to come in, mark this as in review. Once that's happening and this will freeze those responses, we can have a review kind of comments back and forth. Please clarify, this is missing, whatever that might look like for the review process. But we always have this comments that are going to be assigned as well with notifications to go along with those two. So once that has been approved for signature, we get the sign button. That'll include the ability to sign, type, or draw. You can also upload as well. I've seen that. So my chicken scratch there. And then enter in those details. Could be an OTP that signed that. And then once everything's signed off, you have the ability, again, directly uploading that finalized report to the ETMF. This is already selected the appropriate folder there, and I can click upload, and that'll be available and visible within the ETMF. So I'll just quickly do that so you can see it's generated that as a PDF. It might take a minute just to show on screen, but this is now within our ETMF as an artifact. Give this a quick refresh as well so you can see also that ETMF artifact is available. This is where it is filed, this particular report. So that they're just kind of focusing on that, the unified approach between the various modules. I didn't have to export it and then sign it separately and then have it, uploaded to a completely different system. There is that full visibility across various processes, which is great. Okay, let's come back and look at our INV, because that has additional things that we can link to as opposed to just action items. There's things like the PDs. We'll come back to our Site 101, monitoring. So we can see now that there's a monitoring record created for our SQV. IMV, I can go ahead and launch that report. Same process applies. System knows which report template to pull there. Protocol PDs monitored, so I can add protocol deviations here. I can select them. Yep, these have been monitored. I've also seen ECRFs, right? So if you're leveraging our EDC, you can associate ECRFs that have been monitored, as well as e-consents too. So those can be linked here as long as you're leveraging our EDC, which is great. So once that report, any report really has been finalized as well, there is that similar to the confirmation letter, the follow-up letter there. So I'll go ahead and pull in a IMV follow-up letter. Even could have a table created there for action items. So that's great. Saving a lot of time. Same process too, once that is sent off. Same process applies. I can PDF that and upload it directly to the eTMF once that's completed. So easy to use functionality there in terms of generating a report. A lot of templates. The system itself leverages a lot of templates, whether they're email templates or report templates, checklist templates. So a lot of those are going to save loads of time. Alrighty, so as well, I know, Dinesh, you kind of touched upon the sites having access. So there's that real-time collaboration. So from a site portal perspective, if you choose to give the sites access, you can, and they would be logging into their own designated site portal. You can navigate to their studies. They can see their studies that they're associated with. We'll go into IVAC after because we were looking at that. And then from there, they can see how is their essential document collection going, how their subjects, the protocol deviations that have been logged, adverse events, as well as those action items and follow-up items. So they can constantly track that. There can be, like we talked about, notifications associated and triggering based off of actions that are going on in the system.
Yeah, one point to mention here is that you can pretty much control. So when the site personnel log into the portal, they will only see that the data related to their site. Right? So they will not be able to see what internal monitors see. Internal monitors may be seeing the data from various sites and various data points, but here, right, site staff will only see related to their site, right? Whether it's an action item, protocol deviations, or patient or subject information, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Yeah. And then there is that activity or that collaboration space. So there's that ability to kind of have an internal dialogue there just for discussions or questions with the chatter functionality, and that can be leveraged, which is great. The only thing I wanted to showcase here internally was just the reporting and the dashboard. So I pulled up this clinical monitoring dashboard, which is great. All of the reports and dashboards have the ability to subscribe. So you can get these at a set frequency. You can have colleagues and other team members get these as well directly sent to their inbox. They don't even have to log into the system. So they'll have this information at their fingertips. The system comes with hundreds of reports out of the box, as well as we train the end user on how to create their own reports and dashboards if need be. Taking it a step further, there's the analytics studio as well. So just looking, right now we're looking at this R&D clinical operations, focusing on the site monitoring. yes, this is across all studies at all sites, but we can drill down and maybe we just want to see how the cardiac arrest study is going in terms of site monitoring. So pretty good, 3.67 days to report finalization, 6 SAEs, 10 PDs. So that information, again, readily available for oversight, which is great. Site performance, we talked about that, so we can see across, again, all studies, drill down to a particular site if required. So all that information can be seen across the system or per study or per site, which is nice. Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of monitoring what's available there. But I would love to, if anybody's interested, we can do a one-on-one session. You guys can ask lots of questions and we can have a little bit more tailored to what your process might be. Because as Nesh said, we create workflows accordingly, and the system set up to business processes particularly specific to our customers. We don't want you to have to mold to the way that we do things. We can configure things to the way that you already have your processes set up, so that's great. Okay. Yeah, that was just a quick sneak peek of some of the monitoring. Moving on to the case study. So just wanted to highlight one of our customers who is currently using almost all of our modules. So they are leveraging that unified approach with the CTMS, the CTBM, that budget management, our ETMF, EDC, safety. They also have a site portal, a vendor portal as well. So, similarly to those challenges that Dinesh was speaking about, the fragmented monitoring, fragmented systems, multiple vendors, they had a limited site oversight. And then as well, their ETMF lacked real-time visibility, and it was putting them at risk for being audit ready. So we deployed our full unified platform there. All of their trip reports, their confirmation and follow-up letters were all templated like we saw, and then we also migrated their legacy ETMF into ours. So this led to an increase in efficiency, a decrease in compliance deviations, and then as well, they are audit ready. They feel like they're audit ready, which is great. Are there any other, I think we had key takeaways, no? Maybe not.
Corinne, we had a couple of questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of them was, does the CTMS interfaces with EHRs like Epic?
Yeah, so one of the benefits as well, we might have touched on it, but of being built on top of Salesforce is leveraging those open APIs. So integrations are usually pretty straightforward in terms of getting the data to flow in. So that's definitely possible to integrate with an EHR, especially one like Epic that has been used pretty much across the board.
Right. I hope that answers the question. Then we have another one. I'm not sure at what point this was asked, but the question is, so either 21 CFR compliant, and then another question from same attendees, type versus draw signatures. I think it was somewhere when you were presenting the demo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the signature aspects, the system itself is compliant, the signature included. So that e-signature is compliant, capturing all the elements that are needed to be compliant with 21 CFR Part 11. So no issues there. The signature on the follow-up letter, on the confirmation letter, on the reports themselves. So yep, that is compliant.
Thank you. We have another question. Do you have a sandbox for students in master's program that they can practice using this tool?
Not at this time specifically for students. We set it up for our prospects, but maybe in the future, if that's something, we will definitely roll that out with the appropriate target audience in mind. That would be something that we can definitely internally discuss and see if that's on our roadmap this year.
Right. Well, we have another question. Can you please provide the presenters' LinkedIn addresses? Well, we will be sharing this presentation along with the recording, and you'll be able to connect with the speakers. We'll add the link over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have another one. Is this open system or closed system?
That's a great question, Pooja. So it's an open system. So our system comes with an open API across the board. Any data point which is available in the system, any data point you want to track, the entire system or data points are available through open API. So that means that you can integrate with any other systems, any third-party EDC system, RTSM system, or any other ETMF system you would like to integrate. So our platform comes to open API. So it's a definitely open system.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. We have more questions coming in. So another one is, would you please advise on your AI roadmap using Agentforce or other technologies?
Yep, certainly. So we are already working on quite a number of, Agentforce based AI use cases exactly in the same monitoring and oversight areas. And in fact, we are planning a future webinar about that. Definitely please follow us, and we will be able to share some of those, Agentforce, AI use cases, through one of the webinar. We are planning to host that webinar, and we are currently working on quite a number of AI use cases, especially in the monitoring and site oversight area.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. Another question was, have you worked with platform trials?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question, Pooja?
This question is have you worked with platform trials?
Platform trials, yes, definitely quite a number of our customers. Again, we don't directly involve what kind of trial they run, but definitely a lot of our customers who are, who run the multiple, platforms on their, trial portfolio. Right. So we have quite a number of customers, who use our system for various scenarios. Our customers, we have across the board, biotech, medical device, combination therapies, for example, and biologics. So yes, quite a number of our customers use across the board and various, subsegment of the, including CROs, they use our platform. So I'm sure, some customers are already running platform trials on our solution, but definitely we can, if we want to learn more, we can definitely ask our customers about that, and we can definitely connect with our customers as well.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. And then we have a last question. Can we have the active back and forth regarding any queries on monitoring with investigators from within the CTMS?
Absolutely. That, as Corinne mentioned, showed, right, there is a site portal and, right, which is basically an extension of the CTMS. And those interaction can happen in real-time basis, right? And it can, more importantly, any workflow or notification or, workflow you set up, and those can also apply to those action items. So that means system can trigger email notifications, reminders, everything to the site staff as well as you as well. So everything is real-time. And the same data point, right? So you're looking at the same data point what site staff is also looking at, and all the workflow happens for all the stakeholders as well, and it's all real time.
Thank you, Dinesh. We have more questions coming in. So does Cloudbyz provide solution for complaint handling?
Complaint handling from the QMS standpoint. So yes, so from the Cloudbyz standpoint, we provide, the adverse event handling, right? So if you're looking at from the adverse event standpoint, in the case of medical device area, or even in the pharmaceutical space, our solution does provide that. And in the case of complaint handling, we are not getting into QMS area. Typically, that's where the complaints are handled, but we can give or take that complaint. Typically, initially it come in as most of these adverse events come in as a complaint, and then those are categorized as adverse event or regular COP items. We only look at from the safety standpoint the adverse events in that case, right? The complaint handling from the QMS standpoint is not part of our capability And we don't intend to have that capability. We are very focused on the clinical research aspect of it, not necessarily the compliant handling aspect of it. Typically, our partners, like QMS partners, do handle such compliant handling and so on and so forth, especially related to QMS processes, whether it's a compliant and then classification into CAPA and any kind of action items which should go into a CAPA. All of those capabilities are typically handled in a QMS system. And we do have partners who work on those, provide those capabilities, but in our Cloudbyz CTMS, and we don't offer compliant management and any kind of added, kind of a deep dive capabilities related to that.
Oh, thank you so much, Dinesh. Thank you, Corinne. Oh, we have one last question, and this would be the last question before we close the webinar. So can your system handle blinded aspects within a trial, have different roles with unblinded access?
Yes, absolutely. So system comes with completely granular level of security settings. Any data or data points, you can set visibility, who get to see what data, and also what field level you can also set visibility. And you can also set security at the field level, in terms of the read, write, edit, right? So all of that controls you can set, and that's controls are available for each user as well, right? For each user type. Say, for example, if you are giving access to the site staff and you don't want them to see, even though you're sharing the protocol deviation, for example, or any kind of a data points with the site staff, and you want to hide some of the fields and some of the data, you can, set up a permissions for those site users, what they can see and what they cannot see, right? So that how granular security is enabled in our platform, and that's one of the great feature to leverage to make sure that the right users are seeing the right data, and also most importantly from the compliance standpoint and from the blinding standpoint, you can blind the information what you don't want to share with the external stakeholders, right? Or even internal stakeholders who should not see some information. You can also apply the similar security into those permission sets as well.
Thank you, Dinesh, and I believe this would be the last one. So can the program import selective data from SAP or ELIDA?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, as we discussed earlier, so our platform comes with the open API, right? That means, our system can be integrated with any external data sources, in a multiple ways through a, real-time integration. It can be integrated with a data level integration. Say, for example, if you want to export the data from other system and you want to import it, you can do that too. Or if you want to do a API level integration in real time, you can also do that too. There are multiple options available from the integration standpoint and various system standpoint too. So pretty much you can think about bringing in or integrating any other systems through these available APIs and batch integrations and so on and so forth.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. Corinne, we will move to the next slide. Thank you, Dinesh and Corinne, for addressing all the questions. For everyone who have stayed until the end, here's an exclusive guide on optimizing clinical trial oversight. You can scan the QR code to download the guide. And with that, we'll end today's session. We are here to support your journey in clinical trial management. And if you would like to continue this conversation or explore these strategies further, please feel free to visit us on www.cloudbyz.com for more resources, or reach out to us at info@cloudbyz.com. The recording will be shared via email and on our website. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to connecting again soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.